So in 1973, a lady called Buzz Goodbody was an assistant director, resident at the Royal Shakespeare Company. She had an idea. She was part of a movement that was inventing studio theatre. It's quite hard to remember a time where we didn't have studio theatres, but it was a brand new idea that you could make plays of all kinds of scales in really small and intimate spaces. Just where we're sitting now, there was a tin hut that was used for all sorts of backstage purposes and kind of ignored on the other side of the road to the Royal Shakespeare Theatre. Buzz had an idea that actually this little tin hut should be turned into a studio theatre in order to do a whole bunch of things, but crucially to introduce a new audience to Stratford, to see Shakespeare in a different light, to challenge the way that we made theatre at the RSC, and to bring a kind of youthful energy and a kind of radicalism to the work that the company did. So in 1974 they opened the other place as a third theatre, and in a way the rest is history. It's had several manifestations as a home for the RSC's new writing, as a home for the RSC's alternative spirit, its otherness. And we've been without it for I think 11 years now, so we're eager to have it back. We are hoping against hope that we are able to begin the capital works that need to be done on the Courtyard Theatre towards the end of 2014. And if we are able to do that, which is reliant on a funding decision and whether we've got all the money to do it, then I'm pretty hopeful that we'll be able to open the new other place late in 2015, so not very long. In the meanwhile, I'm very eager to get going, and I also, I suppose, want to try and express what we mean by this new configuration of the other place. What is it going to be like? And so what we've decided to do this summer, so June 2014, is have a little festival on the Courtyard stage where we make a very temporary fringe space that's about the same size as the studio theatre will have in the visionary version of the other place. In that little fringe space, we're going to have a festival of work, a festival of new work that is radical, that is mischievous, that responds directly to the Roaring Girls season in the Swan. We've asked 6 playwrights, they happen all to be women, to respond to a provocation that I've set them that has kind of arisen from my thinking about the Roaring Girls and what the Roaring Girls means in the context of 21st century women, 21st century gender politics. There's a famous quote, well-behaved women seldom make history. It seems to me that after 2 or 3 or 4 or maybe 5 waves of feminism, we are still asking ourselves what well-behaved means in the context of being a woman, what badly behaved means, what making history means. These are still questions that are very live, and actually I've been very conscious that in the last few years feminism, feminist politics, as it affects men and women, is a very hot subject and still very difficult to grapple with. Some of the things that perhaps I felt growing up were becoming resolved are far from resolved. So it felt timely to really engage with some writers, and they're of a whole different range of ages, but there's a handful of quite young writers bringing a kind of fresh perspective to that question. So they're all responding to well-behaved women seldom make history in their own ways, and we're awaiting the plays. We're going to get the plays at some point early this spring, and we're going to choose 4 of those plays and play them in rep as part of the festival. But we're going to keep the identities of the writers under wraps for a little bit longer.